management and integrated coastal zone management. Apart from writing popular articles on nature and wildlife, his areas of interests include trekking, scuba diving, watercolor painting and photography. इन्होंने कई एग्जीबिशंस करी हैं, कई प्रदर्शनियां करी हैं पेंटिंग्स की और फोटोग्राफ्स की, देहरादून में, पोर्ट ब्लेयर में, गोवा में, और हाल ही में WWF इंडिया दिल्ली के ऑफिस में जो है वो चल रही है, एग्जीबिशन ऑन है. He has widely traveled in Europe, Australia, Southeast Asia, Africa and North America. एक बार फिर आपको तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करती हूँ अपनी तरफ से, BR अम्बेडकर यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सोशल साइंसेज मऊ की तरफ से. एंड फ्लोर इज योर्स सर. थैंक यू सो मच.
थैंक यू, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद नीरू जी. मैं देख रहा हूँ वाइस चांसलर महोदया भी हैं. उनका मैं तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देता हूं कि आपने इस तरीके का वेबिनार किया है. और मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि इस छोटे समय में 2 स्टेट्स को कवर कर सकूं, और जितने लोग इस समय मौजूद हैं और बाद में भी इस चीज को देख सकेंगे, मेरी तरफ से ये आपसे गुजारिश है आपके स्टूडेंट्स लोगों को कि प्लीज कम टू नॉर्थ ईस्ट फॉर योर रिसर्च, और लार्जली फॉर इंटीग्रेटेड रिसर्च, बिकॉज अपने अपने शेल में रहने से कोई ज्यादा वो होता नहीं है. दूसरों से मिलके देखने से चीजें और अच्छी होती हैं. और कुछ चीजें मैं दिखाना चाहूंगा, लार्जली पॉजिटिव मैं रख रहा हूं अपने प्रेजेंटेशन को, जिसमें कि लोग परेशान ना हो. कुछ चीजें वहां पे गड़बड़ भी हैं और वहां पे काम करने में कई बार परेशानियां भी होती हैं, लेकिन मैंने बहुत से रिसर्च को देखा है. मेरा अपना खुद का रिसर्चर भी मेघालय में जब हम थे तो कई परेशानियों को सामना करना पड़ा. लैंडस्केप के अलावा, एनिमल के एलिमेंट्स के अलावा ह्यूमन एलिमेंट्स भी मिलते हैं. डाइवर्सिटी उसकी भी बहुत ज्यादा है. चीजें सुधर गई हैं, अब काफी सुधर गई हैं, बहुत अच्छी होती जा रही हैं. और आने वाले सालों में नई जनरेशन के लिए बहुत कुछ अपॉर्चुनिटीज वहां पे मिलेंगी. मैं उसमें से कुछ दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा. मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन अंग्रेजी में है, जरूर पढ़ने पे मैं हिंदी में भी आ सकता हूँ, लेकिन पूर्णतया मैं शायद अंग्रेजी में ही बात करूंगा. और अगर बाद में समय मिलेगा तो मैं सवालों का जवाब देने के लिए भी. मैं अगेन आई विल थैंक नीरू मैडम फॉर giving me this opportunity, and I will start with my presentation, and I'll first cover Mizoram, and then I will go to Arunachal, where I am presently posted. Okay, so I'll share my screen now with the window and this. Madhu, Bandhu. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, बहुत अच्छा, very good.
Okay, so that's good. Net is good and computer is good, behaving very properly. So the topic of my presentation is unique cultural diversity and diverse mega biodiversity of Northeast India. And this itself gives you something which I will be just touching actually, because it's mega, and it's humongous if you look at it closely. I will be giving few examples of cultural diversity and nature conservation from these 2 states, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh. And I hope the purpose of this national webinar, which is Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, Dekho Apna Northeast, we will be able to get motivated to come to these 2 states. I have seen Sikkim the other day, which Mukund, my colleague, was showing. We missed his slides because of whatever glitch was there. But I hope I will be able to showcase a little bit more through visuals. एक photo कई हजार शब्दों के बराबर होती है. So I think I'll speak less and show more in this presentation. So I'll start with Mizoram. So Mizoram, I'm starting with the sunrise over Mizoram. You see, is it okay?
जी बिल्कुल ठीक है, दिख रहा है.
I thought so. The Mizoram in Mizoram is the land of the Highlanders. So they are hill people, very proud tribes over there. And the sunrise is actually happening over the ridge where Aizawl city, the capital city, is located. And if you, this is going towards the airport, Lengpui airport, which is in the valley. And you can see a dense fog which has settled over the valley. It's such a lovely place, and the landscape keeps on changing and gives you enormous opportunities to actually go into it, get absorbed into the whole scenery and the landscape. So, about Mizoram in a nutshell, it's an unfrequented destination due to its remoteness. But again, this remoteness is in our mind more than physical. It's hilly and largely forested, and the forest cover is 86%, which is one of the highest for any state of the country. It's surrounded by Tripura, Assam, and Manipur in its northern half, and Bangladesh and Myanmar. We share the boundary with these two countries. And incidentally, the Tropic of Cancer passes through its heart, the center of this state. And if one is seeking a quiet but vibrant holiday amongst waterfalls, clean rivers, that is very important, clean rivers, because most of our rivers are highly polluted nowadays. Lakes are there, and lush green forests and bamboo covered hills. The villages are very small and quiet and colorful. And the most important of that, the warm-hearted Mizo tribe. And this is the place then for any person. Capital Aizawl, as I showed in my previous slide, is perched on a hilltop. The average elevation of this ridge is about 1100 meter. At the highest point, it goes to 1300 meter. And it is connected by road and rail from Shillong and Agartala through Silchar in Assam, and by air via Kolkata, Guwahati, and Imphal. So a lot of good connectivity is there, which is at present slightly skewed because of the COVID condition. But otherwise, this is what a normal condition, in normal conditions, this will be available. Aizawl, the capital city, and it's a vibrant hill station. We don't realize, for us, hill station largely are Mussoorie or Nainital or Shimla, maybe Kashmir, Srinagar, or if you come to MP, you have some hill station over there, or in Maharashtra, or Ooty. But then we forget about Northeast, which is the eastern part of Himalaya, and it's such a lovely place. And in this slide, you can see the beauty of the city of Aizawl city. In night, it looks like Mussoorie. If you see Mussoorie from Dehradun, it's something like that only. The landscape is panoramic, beautiful, and it's north-south, traversing hill ridges are there, and interspersed with valleys. And all these valleys are having quite blue flowing rivers. And lots of other things are there. And you can see the first photograph on the top is taken from a place which is the tourist place, and a small resort is there. The second picture is Riek. You can see the dense monsoon clouds are over on the top of the hill, and I'll be showing a little bit more about this place, Riek, in my later part of my presentation. So these two pictures give you a real picture of Mizoram, very thinly populated, and except Aizawl, all other places are very, very small and very picturesque. We have a lot of scenic waterfalls, and during monsoon, the place is really, really dynamic. You go across, then you will come across such waterfalls all over. The river valleys, as I said, in between those interspersed ridges, you have got valleys, long valleys traveling again north to south. Some river drain into Assam or side, or some of them are going towards Bangladesh. So we have connectivity from the both sides. The cultural aspect of this state, originally two tribes, Lusai and Hamar of Mongolite origin, migrated to this hilly part. As I said, Mizo means highlanders, but presently they are divided into several tribes. It was annexed by British in 1891, and it was created as the Lushai Hill District of Assam. And after independence, it remained as one of the district of Assam, but later on it was declared as a union territory, but granted statehood on 20th February 1987. after the famous Mizo Accord. And incidentally, both Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram share the same statehood day, because both were Indian territories prior to 20th February 1987. These Mizos are originally believers of good spirit, which is known as Pathiyan, but the modern society is largely influenced by the Christianity. Although Christians, the best part of it is they have kept alive their rich cultural heritage, colorful customs, lively festivals and dances. As I'll show you in my later slides, lots of this is actually is evolved in their day-to-day lifestyle. So it's a mix of modernity in the form of Christianity, and they do have the ancient tradition which are well preserved to this day. So other than Christmas and New Year's Day, which is the major festival for them now, Chapter festival in March, which is celebrated after they have cleared the forest for Jhum cultivation, and it's a traditional festival. So to celebrate the hard work of cutting a forest and then clearing it and then burning it and preparing the land, largely the hill slopes for cultivation purpose for Jhum rice, which was done in the past. But even today, the Chapchar is celebrated, and in Aizawl during the March, this is a very big festival which goes on for 3-4 days. A lot of celebrations, a lot of dance and cultural programs take place, and this is one of the most important festival of Mizoram. So March every year. Then they have got a lot of dances, and the popular dances include, you might have seen it, bamboo dance, which is known as Shirao, Kollam dance for guests, and Shailam dance, which is at the end of the day's work, they do it traditionally. So the whole day after hard work, the dance is the end part. That shows how lively these people are. Coming back to the historical part, although the modern Mizoram, we can say it's 200-300 years old, history is known, but in recent times, ASI has actually done some archaeological excavation in this site of Wangia, which is in Champai district, very close to the Myanmar border. And there they have discovered pteroglyphs and menhirs. And these are rock cuts and rock engravings, and estimated to be 600 AD, that old. So that means this land was part of ancient human civilization, and that is what we are now discovering little by little. And I think these are the things which the students of social science and culture and history would love to know about it. And I think some of them may like to come over and do research on this aspect, which is still a very fresh area for study. As I said, the British annexed this state in 1891. And if you visit, my first visit to Mizoram when I joined there in last March, I entered through Silchar, and the Kolasip town was on the northern district headquarters. And I came across this old British style. You come across these in MP and Uttarakhand and old UP. These forest rest houses set up. So this was done in 1908. And another one is Silasar, the earlier picture which I showed, the landscape from this side, it's on a hilltop. So this ridge actually was being used for traveling from Bangladesh side or Myanmar side to Assam in those days. So that in those days there were no roads, so they must be using horseback, something like that. So these old rest houses, typical of British legacy, are still being maintained by the PWD over there. But traditionally, the Mizo use a lot of local material resource, which is bamboo and thatch grass and wood and all. So traditional houses are built on stilt, and they're very simple structures, and the heavy rainfall is there, so they are on stilt, and they maintain it very neat and clean. So very nice to look at, to visit also. Traditional weaves and dresses, they are expert weavers, and they have lovely traditional designs. Some of these designs have now been actually geographically indexed also, these particular patterns of Mizoram. So that is one way in which we can actually establish and regulate or get a patent on our traditional design so that they don't change much over a period of time. So this is one thing which can be studied. So Mizoram state has done a lot of work on this thing, getting GIs for these traditional weaves and patterns. And in this, the photograph on the right side, you can see one is almost taken back 30, 40 years back, black and white photograph. A lot of things have changed in the dress and in the jewelry also, and that's part of the life cycle for anything. It evolves over a period of time. The material change, the colors changes and all. But still, we should look back and keep whatever was there in the past as intact or as untouched as possible for the future generation to learn. And that is what state is also doing in Mizoram.
अजय जी एक सेकंड, आपका पीपीटी नहीं दिख रहा है, मनोज जी बता रहे हैं कुछ, मनोज जी बताएं।
How?
सर बीच में किसी ने शेयर किया था। हाँ, आपकी पीपीटी बीच में नहीं है, तो अगर आप स्टॉप करके दोबारा से शेयर कर देंगे तो आ जाएगी।
Should I stop?
स्टॉप करके दोबारा शेयर।
स्क्रीन शेयर फिर से कर लीजिए स्टॉप करके।
Okay, we'll do that. I stopped it. I'll exit. Okay, I'll again present window presentation share. Okay.
हाँ आ रहा है, हाँ आ गया। ओके
Okay, so from which side I start? Is it okay or I go back?
बिल्कुल करेक्ट है, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड।
So this is fine. Okay. So this is again a picture which showcases a style which again changed with modern times. The handicrafts, which the beads and other things which they love to wear, and you can get lots of them, lots of patterns and varieties and color, very beautiful. And the bags are very popular over there, and very comfortable bags, which are again traditionally made using these weaves and patterns. Traditional tools and implements and arms. They are like a warrior tribes and big hunters, big old-time hunters. Sometimes we have issues, the forest department regarding hunting. But now, over a period of time, things are changing. There's a very lively organization in Mizoram, which is known as Young Mizo Association, and they are trying to regulate activities so that environment is protected. They started in 90s, and they have helped in the state in developing sites, protecting sites, and protecting a lot of these cultural or natural heritages in the park, in the form of protected areas and all. So hunting is on decline, but still people traditionally do some of the huntings. But over a period of time, we hope that it will dwindle as more and more things are made available and more awareness is being created. Otherwise, if you will see, a lot of tools are there, and these are again interesting tools using local material, wood. A lot of bamboo is being used, and the metal, and some of them are instruments for dances and for safety aspects also. A lot of arms are also there. So they are quite rich in their cultural and these artifacts and other things which they are still using and making. Food I really liked. I spent almost a year over there. Very simple food they eat. They don't use much of spices and all, but very simple boiled. A lot of vegetables. We think Northeast is all meat and all. You can see some meat dishes, but both the plates are actually having a lot of boiled vegetables and dal and things like that. So one should not fear Northeast. If you are not a meat eater, you will get a lot of greens over there. And the way they eat, if you learn the way they eat, it will be much better rather than hoping for chapati and all other things which we eat back home. So it's always better wherever you work or visit, try to understand and learn and try to experiment and taste whatever are the local flavors and things like that. And I must say that the food is absolutely beautiful. Very simple. You may have to add a little bit of spices if you really want to, but otherwise it's really nice and very healthy. And Mizo are really strong people, very strong people. As I said initially, that Chapchar could think the traditional zoom or slash and burn type shifting cultivation on community-owned land. So most of the land is owned by community and it is allotted to people. That is why it is the old tradition which is still being followed. You can see in the picture on the left side, the, the, the trees have been cut below the road, and on the top you can see that forest is there. Most of it is secondary forest because the zoom cycle earlier was 20-25 years. My study in Meghalaya also, we have found that in 25 years, the natural forest used to regenerate and again they come back and do it. But now over a period of time, as communications have improved, the zoom cycle has reduced to 5 years or so. But then a lot of restrictions are now coming, and the community itself is now being, they are saying not to go for this type of cultivation. So zoom, which creates a lot of disturbance in the landscape in the present situation. In the old time when population was low, it was fine. But as the population is increasing and food is easily available from outside, this shifting cultivation is also getting reduced slowly and slowly. And as I said, Chapchakut festival is celebrated in March after Zoom activities are over. So, but now this is a mega festival, and this is from Aizawl, the entire stadium for 3-4 days. It's like a huge, like a mini kumbh like thing, the aggregation and such color. It's such amazing spirit and vibrancy is there. One should really go and have a feel of it. Other, as I said, Shara or bamboo dance, people are getting ready on the left picture and then it is being shown. And it's a very tricky dance. The male and female, if such coordination happens in our life also, I think we will be much happier in our family life also. Because one mishandling or misstep on the part of the male folk, the legs, the feet will be trapped of the women. So it's amazing to see how beautifully it is coordinated. Another traditional Mizo dance, and very colorful and very vibrant, and a lot of sound and noise and things like that. And this is a dance which is after celebrating a victory. As I said, there's a shift towards settled cultivation gradually. On the left side of the slide, you can see the areca nut, the supadi is being cultivated. They eat a lot of supadi, and that's one thing which is creating a lot of health problem in the society. And again, these are issues. Pan and supadi continuously they will be eating, and that's why they settled agriculture also they started with supadi only. At the moment, they import a lot of it from Myanmar and Assam side, and but now they're growing. On the right side, on the top right side, is orange plantation which has been raised, and now people are also like planting this. One day I was just coming back after going for a long round of the Aizawl city on a Sunday, wet Sunday, and these people, so local group, they were actually on their own. They were planting these roadside avenue trees. So a lot of such activities are happening. The new generation, the younger generation is really aware and aware about their environment and conservation and protection, which is a good sign. Other good things which they are growing now, the fiberless ginger is very famous of Mizoram, and now they are going for organic turmeric, and new technologies are also coming. This is one of the IC mod project which has been taken up by one of the FRI institution, PNN Bamboo Research Institute, which has been set up using solar power to dry turmeric. So these are the things which are being incorporated in their system, which will help the farmer to get better returns, and quality product can be produced in these controlled way. And again, it's environmental friendly. Earlier they were using wood, fire, and things like that. Horticulture is picking up in a very big way in higher elevation because it's a mountainous area. Champai and all, you get a lot of kiwi fruits coming from. And dragon fruit is everywhere now, even on house tops also people are growing them in small tubes, tires, and things like that. Pineapple is plentiful in some part of the season, and then you get a lot of pineapple. So seasonally, a lot of fruits, tropical fruits are available, and it's good to see that such colorful and tasty foods are now being grown in Mizoram and being exported out. Mizo loves flowers and plants. So any house, if you see, you will see the balcony full of hanging baskets with flowers and all. And this is one flower show in Aizawl, and they keep on happening. On the left top side, you will see the bonsai, and these are the prize winners, and very proud the cultivators. So the bonsais and the orchids, the variety of orchids which I saw over there was amazing, and they are for sale, and a lot of competition happen over there. So floriculture is one thing which is because they like flowers. This is one activity which is being promoted by the government also, and something like this floriculture, like anthurium cultivation, is taking place in by some of the entrepreneurs, and this is on the way to REAC, which I will be showing again. And anthurium is quite popular now, and it is being exported to cities like Calcutta for hotels and all. Maybe in Delhi and all, if you see some of the anthurium is coming from Mizoram. The varieties, anthurium varieties, I thought it's only red or white, but there are so many amazing colors and shapes and patterns are there. It's really mind-boggling, I can say. So this plant, this flower remains for a long, long time, and we can actually, the way it is being promoted, it's no time that Mizoram can become the flower capital of India in the northeast also. Like Sikkim has already done it for orchids and other flowers. Assam is picking up also, but they are also not far behind the Mizoram. So to promote this thing, Anthurium Festival is celebrated. Normally it is in February, but this last year it was done in October. So good for me because February I left and I could visit React town where this festival is done. The varieties shown over there and the decoration, and it's again uh, uh, atmosphere of celebration. And if a festival is on, the dancers will not be far behind. So this is before the main show. This honorable CM was to come, and they are preparing for the chapter, this thing, Sharao dance and other dances. A lot of competition, a lot of dance groups and all. So all festivals are actually mix of tradition and culture and dance and gaiety. Bamboo is another thing which is quite, Mizoram is very, very rich in bamboo, like all other northeastern states, and bamboo shoots are a very staple diet. And a lot of things are used, made, pickle, and uh, make a sort of a soup which is known as bamboo bai, in which greens and bamboo shoots are used, and some soya beans, fermented soya beans are put in that, and it's a very healthy soup during monsoon time when the bamboo shoots are in plentiful. We tried this processing thing also so that bamboo shoots can be exported out, and uh, uh, in one of the training program, how to cut and how to process and put them in saline water and or vacuum pack. These things were shown to some of the entrepreneurs, and hopefully in future we will start getting fresh bamboo shoots of Mizoram in our cities also. Okay, coming to nature and its conservation, the key places of interest. One places which one should really would like to visit and enjoy. As I said, Riek Peak and the Nature Reserve, which is actually protected by the community, not by the Forest Department, but we are part of that in helping them in managing some of the things. And it is a chieftain, the chief of the local community, who has protected this about 50 square kilometer forest area and the top of the peak, which is seen in the left hand side of the picture. We have nature trails, we go for bird watching, and a lot of activities take place in this protected area. And incidentally, this protected area also provides water supply to the Riyak village. So in both ways, so that's a very good example of nature conservation and utilization. And at the same time, you get benefited also directly with a very clean air. A lot of tourists come over there. There's a resort also run by the tourism department. And people mostly come during Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes the birders will come who are keen to look for some of the key endemic local species. And we got a lot of hornbills and species like that over here. So the nature trail and the Riyak Peak, a lot of signages are there. And you can get guides also who will help you in going around. On the way to Riyak Peak, this huge natural cave is there, and in old time they had a belief that the bad spirits were living on this inside this cave. It's earlier times, but now it's a very you can, it's a photo opportunity area. You can, selfies and all can be taken. So it's a view from the rear peak, looking towards the Bangladesh side. And Namdafa Tiger Reserve is on our left somewhere. Very steep hills, very rugged terrain otherwise, but lovely landscape. Then we have got some lakes, and this is Thum Dil. Dil in Mizo language means lake. So it's a tourist destination. Again, here we have got few cottages, a forest department setup is there, and boating facilities are there. So a lot of picnickers will come here on Saturday and Sunday and then stay and enjoy this place. Again, the forest around the entire lake, the catchment is protected by the local community. And the girl on the right hand side corner, she is a local interpreter. She was doing her MA in Hindi. I was surprised to see a Mizo girl doing MA in Hindi. But it's again good to have communication, ease of communication with when outsiders come over there. The person on the left side on the boat is our local DFO over there. And then we have got Jewel again, Namdafa Tiger Reserve, which is a very rich biodiverse area. The landscape is fantastic. It joins Tripura and Bangladesh on the eastern side. There are some issues with the Bangladesh side. The forests on that side have been cut. We have lost all the tigers during the last census. We didn't get any, but I think there's some report on the southern side. Some tigers may still be there, and we, the Forest Department and National Tiger Conservation Authority, we are thinking of reintroducing tiger into the landscape. But other than tiger, a lot of things are there like these. I could get this beautiful pair of great Indian hornbill from the peak of ridge side, tall trees, and we have got a nature trail. So a lot of things you can see. One person should. A lot of researchers also come to Namdafa for research. Like gibbon, which is the only ape which we have in India, it's there to give you company, and you can hear them in the lower valleys. Very loud calls. They early morning or late evening. Sometimes you hear them. Research work, as I said, the picture on the left side is a DST sponsored project, which is on climate change. So it's a permanent sample plot is there, and Forest Department is also doing a lot of research. We have put a lot of camera traps, and so that we can know which animals are using which area. So over a period of time now, the new technologies are being used extensively, and I hope some of your students would love to come over here and do their research also. Other places of interest, as I said, Champai on the eastern side, bordering Myanmar, and the other Rihidil. Ri means this lake is actually on the Burma side. The visitors are allowed to go up to this lake, and it's a very revered lake for Mizo actually. So whoever goes to Champai will visit this lake, and they have a lot of the traditional link with this lake. And although it's in Burma, but it's protected by Burmese authority, and we are allowed to go without any visa or thing like that. Okay, coming to research and work opportunities, we have Mizoram University, Aizawl, which is a central university set up in 2001 near Aizawl on a sprawling, almost 1,000-acre campus. It's a very lovely campus. One must visit this campus, and it's open for all. Anyone can come. And I've seen a lot of researchers who have come from North India or South India doing their research or advanced studies over here. ICFI has a campus over here, ICFI Hyderabad. They have got an Aizawl campus. Then, as I was telling you, this solar dryer which has been set up, ICFR, Indian Council for Forestry Research and Education, has a forest research center for bamboo and rattans, for canes. Rattan means canes. And they are doing a lot of research in Northeast on bamboo and canes. And a lot of researchers are actually working with them. And we have the social and cultural links of both cane and bamboo with these tribes. So there is a link between social science and natural resource science, as well as real science or taxonomy and things like that. So a lot of ethnobotanical research can be done on the human aspects of use of local resources. And a lot of things can be learned from them, and which we can actually incorporate in our day-to-day life. This is a resource which is renewable, and I am trying to use it for, like China is doing it. Bamboo is being used for making fiber for saris and all. Cotton, like cotton, it is stronger than cotton. It's like silk in sheen. It's cheaper than silk. So a lot of opportunities are there in this aspect also. NIT campus is coming up over there, and a travel research institute is being also set up. It has been delayed, but I hope it will come up ultimately. And that will be a good thing to happen for Northeast. Okay, coming to Arunachal Pradesh, I think I should rush through it because Arunachal is very wide and very vast. I will be keeping focus on, again, Mizoram was a very small unit, but Arunachal is a very vast and very, very diverse unit. So I will start. Arunachal is a place where the sunrise takes place. So the first sunrise, this is actually happening in Namdapha.
Ajay ji, you take your time. आज के last है, तो आप आराम आइए. We are enjoying, thoroughly enjoying the presentation.
Okay, that takes care of my. I will not rush them.
Yes.
So Namdapha is in the easternmost tip of the country, bordering with Myanmar, and this Nohading River. Again, the rivers are massive over here. They are intimidating. This the water flow and all in you can see the line which is on the
अजय सक्सेना
जी
आपको और 10-15 मिनट लगे तो आप करिए, हम लोग को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
बिल्कुल जी, थैंक यू मैडम. सो नोहाडिंग नदी जो कि ऊपर से आती है पूरा ड्रेन करती हुई. द लैंडस्केप इज ब्यूटीफुल. आई विल टॉक अबाउट इट लेटर ऑन. सो अरुणाचल, द प्लेस वेयर sun rises. So I start with that. As I said, it's a big state. It's a highly diverse biologically as well as socio-culturally also, which I'll try to show in few slides. So it's nestled in Eastern Himalayas, and Eastern Himalayas, as you know, is a very diverse and very, as Sikkim Mukund told us that there were huge amount of diversity in a small state, but consider almost 4 or 5 times of Sikkim, then you can imagine what will be in store for us in Arunachal Pradesh. 84,000 square kilometer odd. It's also the largest among the northeast states, and a forest cover of over 80%. So again, it's a very, very rich forest cover wise, natural resource wise. Landscape is mountainous. You leave Assam and then you enter into hills, and that is Arunachal Pradesh. So that's a very clear-cut distinction between Assam, which is in the Brahmaputra Valley, and we are overlooking Assam. And 10 major rivers actually drain into the massive Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra, it gets its water from all the way from Tibet, but a huge amount of water is being, which falls in Arunachal Pradesh, actually comes to Brahmaputra through these 10 major rivers. And Brahmaputra itself enters from Tibet into Arunachal Pradesh on the northeastern side, and it cuts through the eastern Himalaya, the deepest gorge in the world, Yarlang Sangpo. And that's another good area. And these rivers are actually being used for river rafting and things like that. And a lot of fish varieties are there, including golden mahasher and other species of mahasher. And a lot of fishers come here for fishing and adventure river rafting and things like that. So things are picking up gradually, and as communications are improving, more and more people will be able to come to this remote part of our remote but beautiful part of our country. Ethnic and linguistic diversity is also highest in the country, and not in the country. If you look at this size, any other country in Southeast Asia, Arunachal Pradesh linguistically and culturally, it's the most diverse place in this region, and it's incomparable. Continuing with that, the history is influenced by Tibetan people from the north who entered into this part from the northern boundaries, and the Burmese who came from the southeastern region. So these are the two major source of human, you can say, incursion, and these are major Mongolite or Tibetan and Mongolite you can say largely based on them. These society, these tribes are. The population is only 14 lakh, 1.4 million. It's the lowest population density among the Indian states, looking at the size, which is very, very, you can thinly dispersed human population. But you look at the tribes, 120 tribes, that's a large number. And 50 different languages, at least 50 different languages. And these are one district to another district, the language changes. So it doesn't happen in any state. I think very few states can boast of this thing. We can talk about country that you go from one state to other, you have a change language. But within a state, you change from one state, or within a district, you can have different languages. And if you take dialects and sub-dialects, then it is more than 100. So you can understand how much opportunities are there for anthropologists and for the language people to study and work. And they're very rich languages, very rich. The major tribes, I can't list all the 120, so they are Mompas, they are mostly Buddhists on the Tawang side. Nishi is the largest component of the tribal community, very dominant and very famous in British time. They kept British at bay. The British could not go beyond Assam on the northern and the eastern side because of these very fighting tribes. Apatani, again, I'll be showing a little bit about Apatani because they've got a very rooted cultural and agricultural system which is quite advanced. Kalo, Adi, Mishumis, Milang, Noktes and Wanchus. Noktes and Wanchus are on the eastern side, adjoining Nagaland and Myanmar. And they were the old times, the headhunters when you call them. The Britishers were really suffered whenever they tried to get into these areas. So they left Arunachal untouched, more or less untouched, for most of their period of when they were ruling this country. Then iconic Tawang Monastery, which is the second largest monastery after Lhasa, which is the center of Tibetan culture and religion, is in Tawang, just adjoining. Actually, if you go to Tawang, it is between Bhutan and Tibet, which is again quite interesting situation. I'm just taking this very beautiful sketch. It's a courtesy Rohan Chakravarti. He does caricature and he studied Arunachal. He came to Arunachal and he prepared this poster. So rarely he will do with human societies, but in a very colorful way he's depicted. So I couldn't get the diversity in one picture, so I have taken it from the Instagram. He's my friend also. And one should follow his green humor on Instagram. You will see a lot of good things about animal kingdom and things like that. But he also talks about the tribal communities because man and animals and the nature grow together. And we have a lot of common things to share with them. So it's just to showcase. And the center you will see this Mithun is there. I'll be talking about Mithun. He has kept the center of their universe, again, animal form. And I'll explain it once I come to that slide. And again, dancing and cultivation of this subtle, like as Apatani agriculture, things like that. And now modern agriculture is also coming up, plantations and other things like. So some festivals, as I said, Arunachal is again like Mizoram, is much more diverse, and so a lot of things are there. So Pangsu Pass Winter Festival, which is celebrated during January, it to celebrate the ethnicity and the Burmese links of those Wanchus and Nokte side. So this happens in which Myanmarese people also join in. So one can think of this if you are visiting the eastern part of the Arunachal Pradesh in January. Then Siang River Festival, again Siang is the major tributary for Brahmaputra, it's in February. Naikom Festival in Naishi tribe, which is again celebrated mostly in this part where Itanagar, the capital city, is there, and it's on 28th February, fixed date. Losur Festival or Mompas New Year, which is last week of February or March, depending on the date which they decide. Then Three Festival of Apatani tribe is held in July. Again, a lot of festivity is linked with the monsoon, the cultivation time. And the Apatani, as I said, they are very well versed in agriculture, settled agriculture. Solung Festival, again, agriculture festival Adis during monsoon. And Sajesh Loku festival of noctes during monsoon, and Zero Festival of Music in September. Zero Festival of Music is like a very large pan-Indian festival for music. And the Apatanis, they like music, and this festival is again becoming very, very famous among the musicians, and both the Western music and our traditional cultural music also. So a lot of integration is taking place through this festival also, which is in September. Showing through pictures, these are some of the dances. The Pangsu Pass Festival, very energetic dance of these warrior tribes. You can see the way they are dressed, or the Nakum Festival, or the Losu Festival, or the Moonpal. And the higher you can see hill, snow-clad peaks in the backdrop, and lively people. Very nice, very beautiful people. I was talking about Apatani, the Zero Valley, which is Subansiri, lower Subansiri area. The traditional rice cultivation and fish culture has been integrated now. They've got a very delicate system of irrigation, and they do wet rice cultivation, not like a Jhum cultivation, which is like a dry rice on slopes. But this is real wet rice cultivation, and now they are also integrated pisciculture with that. So they get both fish protein as well as carbohydrate in the rice form. So this is one of the beautiful things which one must visit and see. They use a lot of bamboo also. Apatani bamboo is a monopodial bamboo, and they have large plantations of bamboo also. So the bamboo and the rice and the fish, it's all integrated beautifully, and it's a place worth to visit. And then modernity is also coming into it. One resort in Zero, so you have some comfortable place to stay also. But I would advise people should stay with homestays and all are there. So people have their small huts and all, neat and clean houses, toilet and all. So one can stay comfortably also. Forget about luxury for some time. Other places of interest, I said, Tawang circuit is very popular among the tourists, and it is you travel from Assam side, Tejpur, and then travel up. You have to pass Sela Pass, which is at 14,000 feet, very high pass. Then you go down again into valley, and then you climb up again. And Tawang is at about 12,000 feet, and from there you can go to Bumla, up to the China border. And on the way near Jung, where a lot of other things are there, linked to the 62 war, this waterfall is there, massive waterfall, which is a sight to be seen especially in monsoon. Winter time, it's difficult to go in winter, but again, and during this monsoon time, just before monsoon, it's flowering. So the entire area will be full of rhododendrons and alpine flowers and alpine meadows are there. So it's a lovely place. The entire landscape, you start from a tropical, moist and wet evergreen forest with dipterocarps and all, very tall trees and all. Then gradually you traverse through pine forest, mixed forest of broadleaf. Then you enter into alpine, all in 2 days, 2 days journey time up to Tawang and beyond. It's a lovely, lovely place to go. Tawang Monastery, as I said, is the second largest monastery after Lhasa, and the giant Buddha inside the monastery. Again, the location itself, you can see it's beautiful, surrounded by very dense forest all around. Interesting site near Tawang is this Songsar Lake, which is famous as Madhuri Dikshit Lake also, because if you remember Koila shoot, one shot was taken over here in the Koila film. So since then, this lake has become famous as Madhuri Dikshit Lake, so Madhuri Lake. And it was formed in 50s because of a huge earthquake when the river was blocked. You can still see the dry trees are there, the conifer fir trees are there. They are survived for all those 50, 60, 70 years. Nobody has touched them. And the lake is, again, it's the whole landscape is beautiful. Or the Bumla Pass, as I said, it is in the winter time, but summer if you go, it's quite tough to go over there up to the border. But then the Tibetan plateau starts. The tougher side is on our side. You have to climb up and down all these passes. But once you reach the border, then it's all flat, high land of Tibetan plateau at 14,000 feet elevation. Again, you got yak and things like that. Beautiful landscape. Traditionally, they use lot of local material, and Neeru madam said, please show us a cane bridge. So this is a lovely cane bridge made out of cane, bamboos, vines, and tree branches. It's something not a living bridge like Meghalaya one, where they have used ficus roots to weave into or make it to be converted into an everlasting bridge over there near Shillong. This is a bridge which has to be maintained and regularly updated. But if you, I didn't get a better shot, but it's jaw-dropping. Down below, you'll see the river will be very, very, very down, deep down, 100, 200 meters, but very strong bridges, and one can easily cross from one hill to other side. Again, you can see a very densely forested area. And now these rope bridges are coming up in other major rivers. These rivers are very, very, very massive. The flow of water is very extensive, very difficult to make bridges on them. And these are the other modern bridges to cross from one valley to the other side of the valley. So, coming to the biodiversity, as I said, it's a mega biodiverse state of the country with over 6,000 plant species only. I'm just talking about the plant species, which is 1/3 of the total plant diversity of India. So that's the diversity we are talking about. We also have the highest diversity of orchids, almost more than 600 species, maybe more. And rhododendrons, almost about 100 species of rhododendron. It's actually the center of origin for rhododendron in the world. So, at landscape level, as I said, while talking about the Tawang circuit, it has tropical wet and moist evergreen forests in the foothills, temperate to coniferous forest, and then alpine zone at the higher elevation. So you get the entire mix of these type of forests in one go, one transact you take, and you need so many experts to explain things about everything. So it's a very, very complex state biologically. Great diversity of butterflies, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, and very many of these species are endemics. Endemic means they are not found anywhere else in the world. So they are only specific either to a small location or a small valley like that. So, and every year we are getting new species which have been discovered by BSI or ZSI. A lot of researchers actually land into Arunachal Pradesh to search for new species, and some of them are really amazing. Some of these discoveries, I'll share some of those discoveries with you. Like this recently discovered moth species, which has been named as Apatani glory, because it is only found in Apatani area, 0 area only, in a very small area. So nobody has seen this moth earlier, and it has been recently discovered. Such a beautiful species, such a beautiful pattern, amazing color. Or lots of snakes, and I'm just showing one snake, which is a rat snake, which is a common dhaman in our area. But this green rat snake is amazing color pattern. It's a non-poisonous, but one of the fastest snake of our country, the rat snake. And endemic birds, as I said, I'm just giving two pictures. These are two marvelous paintings done by an ornithologist and painter, John Gould. And he was there between 1804 to 1881. And he did bird paintings of Indian birds, Andamans, a lot of birds he has done for Andamans, and Australia. His major work is of Australia. I've seen his work in Australia as well as in Natural History Museum in London. And BNHS has also got a good collection of his these prints. And these are big prints, very beautifully made. And his wife also, she was again an illustrator of birds and also. So the husband-wife family, and they did visit these areas in those tough times. Mid of 19th century, there would not have been anything over there rather than you have to travel everywhere or eat from the source, from the land only, and survive, and then do this type of colorful paintings. Amazing. And then, as I said, new discoveries have been made. After 60s, not many birds were discovered in India. And then again, after decades, no new discovery, and these two birds were discovered in this century, you can say, in this millennia. In 2006, this bird was discovered, Bagun loicichala, and which is named after the Bugun community, which is a very small community in near Eagle Nest area, or near close to Tejpur, on the way to Tawan. And this community is only 2,000 plus, and the Bugun community. And now they are protecting 17 square kilometer of their community reserve to protect this beautiful bird which has been discovered and named after this community. And then this other bird which has been discovered in recent years is this Himalayan forest thrush and Zoothera salimali. And this is the only bird which is named, or the first bird which has been named after Dr. Salim Ali, the birdman of India. I started my career with him, and he was my first interviewer actually in Point Kalima Bird Sanctuary way back in 1980. I was a fresh graduate from Allahabad, and I wrote to him that I would like to work on birds and nature, and they had a PL480 project at the time on migration of birds. So they called me and they took me as a research assistant, RA, at a very priestly salary of 400 rupees. So those times 400 were like a big money, because in my BSc I think we were getting 250 rupees only to survive, pay salary, pay fee of 40 rupees to the university and hospital and all those things. So those were the hard days. But I really enjoyed 1 year working with Dr. Salim Ali and his team in Point Kalimar. It's on the Gulf of Mannar, overlooking Sri Lanka. And again, half of it was in Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. And we were hosted by the Maharaja Bharatpur in one of his small palace in compound. So that was nice days in those when very few people were doing research on birds, and on especially in the wild. Now you've got Wild Institute of India, you've got Salim Ali Center for Ornithology in Coimbatore, and so many other institutions are offering forestry and wildlife subjects. So in those days in 80s, things were just coming up, and it was really exciting to work in those days in Indian forest areas. Giant squirrels, a lot of other species which I could pick up in Namdafa. These two, this fellow on the left side, picked up a whole papaya, and daytime it came and it was just happily feeding and posing for the photograph also. But then the night, on the right one is a flying squirrel, and incidentally there's another flying squirrel which is Namdafa flying squirrel, which is an endemic species, which was one student from Assam is actually working on it. He's trying to locate it, which it has not been sighted up for many decades, but now he's working over there. So a lot of good things which are happening, and a lot of exciting research is being done in this remote part of the country. I was talking about the central piece in that picture where of Rohan Chakravarti's thing, the Mithun, and it's a hybrid between wild Gaur and domestic cattle. Bos frontalis, the Bos gaurus is the wild this Indian Gaur, which is the largest cattle on earth. The male can measure at about 8 feet on the shoulder. So many tribes of this part, especially Arunachal or Myanmar and Bangladesh, this side also, they have this Mithun as a social. It shows somebody's richness, or it's how rich a person is depends on how many Mithun a person is having. They take milk out of it. They also eat this meat when festivities, during festival time or special celebration time. So it plays a very critical, important role in the socio-economic culture of the society. So Mithun, again, the link between the nature is very dramatic and very clear over here. It's like yak, you can say. Yak is also another species which has been largely domesticated. You hardly see any wild yak. It's only, I think, towards the Kashmir side, on that side of Tibet. Otherwise, most of the yak have been cultivated, domesticated. But this is half domesticated sort of thing. Okay, so important areas of biodiversity. Quickly, I'll just name them. Some of the things which are critical and which have been protected, so good for doing research. Namdafa Tiger Reserve in the east, approachable from Dibrugarh. Mishmi Hill, again, those two birds which I showed of John Gold painting are from the Mishmi Hill area, Miao Wildlife Sanctuary, from Dibang and Dimang Valley beyond it, on the northeastern part. Again, very rich area from where the Siang and these rivers also come down. Tale Wildlife Sanctuary near Zero in the central part, and again, Tale Valley is very rich in wildlife. Pake Tiger Reserve in the foothills towards Tejpur, Nameri Tiger Reserve on the Assam side, and Pake Tiger Reserve on the foothills of our Arunachal Pradesh, and very well protected. A lot of tigers and all have been recorded in this part of the landscape. Then Eagle-less Wildlife Sanctuary is on the way to Tawang. It's on the higher reaches and again very rich. That Bogun Luis Chela has been recorded from there. So if somebody wants to see that bird, he has to or she has to go over there. And last two are approachable from Guwahati and Tejpur by road and rail. The rail connectivity is also there up to Itanagar, but nowadays that train is not running. Okay, Namdapha Tiger Reserve, as I said, it's a beautiful landscape. The picture on this side, you can see this ridge on the top is actually the highest peak is Dafa Boom, which is almost 18,000 feet. So you in the lower valley, which is almost 400 meters to almost 5,000 meters. This is the landscape I'm talking about. You got wetlands, you got grasslands like Kaziranga, then you got dense tropical forest, evergreen forest. Then on the top you got alpine areas. And one transit from here to there, which I'm planning to take, but because of COVID, it's all been shelled away. To Dafa Boom, nobody has tried this expedition, but maybe in future we'll do it. One can see from tiger to clouded leopard to snow leopard. So this is a place on earth where got all the 5 major cat species. And that's amazing. And this is the landscape, very rugged, very beautiful. Mishmi Hill, as I said, again, very rugged area. Mihao Wildlife Sanctuary, the entire area is a wildlife sanctuary. So from Rowing, one can go up towards Derang, and then you can towards, I'm forgetting that name, and that's on the northern part of it. There, I'll tell that later on. So this, and again, this entire stretch is very beautiful and very rich. Pake Tiger Reserve, as I said, it's on the foothills. On the way, if somebody is going to Tawang, one can visit Pake also. We've got a lovely forest rest house and some cottages are coming up over there. So, and then Wildlife Conservation Society also has a rescue center for bear and other animals over there. So a lot of animal husbandry research is also going on the wild species. Then again, hornbills are, many species of hornbill. This is again the great Indian hornbill, the largest of the hornbills. Special consideration, so I'll end with this thing. For both the states, we Indian need an inner line permit, ILP, to enter these two states, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh. So that I'm just forewarning. And this is issued by the respective state offices situated in New Delhi, Kolkata or Guwahati. Normally for a period of 7 days and up to the month, one can get it. But for research purpose, once you have got a research project approved, you can get it for a year. Like we normally give it for a year. Once we give a permission to enter into a national power sanctuary, based on that, you will approach to a DC, and then you'll get this full working permit for this part, this period. So there are initial hiccups may be there, but one should take it as a challenge, and we are quite upfront in trying to help the researchers in this aspect. If you are arriving by air in Aizawl, then ILP is issued at the arrival at the Lengpu airport itself. But in Arunachal, we don't have an airport, so you have to land in Assam side, Guwahati or Tejpur or Dibrugarh. Then you have to take land, a taxi or a bus or a train. At the entry gate point, you have to show this permit. But presently, due to COVID-19, there are strict travel restrictions, and we all have to go through quarantine and check this thing, tests. So at the moment, it's not advisable to visit this place. Most of the research will are on hold, but hopefully, soon this will be open up, and I hope many of you would love to visit this part of the country. And all the best. I'll end with a sunset from my house in Itanagar. Over, you can see the sun is going behind the ridge and this lovely forest. It's quite far off from my house, almost 20 kilometers away, but I got this lovely shot. Thank you. I stop here.
Acknowledge. Ajay, very good presentation. Very good presentation.
Thank you, madam. And I'm happy that there's no glitch. There was no glitch. But that's the best part. Because my webinar was a disaster. Computer conked off, and so I prepared especially for this. I got it clapped off from one of my colleagues because I was not having it here. Oh, I almost out by 15 minutes. Thank you. Everyone was. I am very happy to. Yes.
सर आशा शुक्ला मैम से आग्रह करूंगा कि वे चेयरपर्सन एड्रेस के लिए
जो एक सप्ताह से 24 से 29 तक एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत के अंतर्गत देखो अपना नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विभिन्न राज्यों की जो हम लोग वर्चुअल यात्रा कर रहे थे, अद्भुत। हमारे सारे कलीग्स कहते हैं कि जैसे ही कोविड-19 का प्रकोप दूर हो, हम लोगों को बहुत जल्दी नॉर्थ ईस्ट जाना है और सारे एक जगह नहीं, हमको सारे राज्यों पे जाना है। और सबने ये जिम्मेदारी डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा को पूरे विश्वास के साथ दी हुई है कि वो ही इसके आयोजन में भूमिका निभाएंगी। मैं तो आपसे उनकी बात को डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा जी को संप्रेषित कर रही हूँ कि जब ऐसा उचित अवसर आए तो किसी पीठ या किसी आपसी MOU के तहत हम लोग अपने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के करीब पहुंचे और वहां चल के कुछ इस पे गंभीरता से बातचीत करें। आज के इस समापन जो सत्र लगभग इतना इंटरेस्टिंग था और था भी, हम लोग दो जगह की बात कर रहे थे, अरुणाचल प्रदेश और मिजोरम की, तो उसमें उतना वक्त लगना भी था। तो इस वजह से जो थोड़ी समय सीमा पड़ी, इसके उद्बोधन करने वाले हमारे अति विशिष्ट मेहमान प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी ईटानगर अरुणाचल प्रदेश श्री अजय सक्सेना जी IFS हैं। आपने जो हम लोगों का सादर आग्रह स्वीकार करके और उसमें प्रत्यक्ष और परोक्ष डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा जी उपस्थित रही ही हैं, हम लोगों से जो बातचीत की उसके लिए सबसे पहले विश्वविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से बहुत आपके प्रति आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। आप विश्वास माने, मिजोरम को मुझे 2-4 बार नॉर्थ ईस्ट के कई प्रांतों को देखने का अवसर अपनी निजी यात्राओं और ऑफिशियल यात्राओं के दौरान मिला, लेकिन इन 7 दिन में और स्पेशली आज मैं बात करूंगी मिजोरम और अरुणाचल प्रदेश की, इतना सुंदर जो लैंडस्केप्स हम लोग देख रहे थे, जो सीनिक वाटरफॉल्स देख रहे थे, रिवर वैलीज को हम लोगों ने देखा, जो हम ट्रेडिशनल टूल्स देख रहे थे, तो हमने उसमें कहा भी कि थोड़ी बंदूक उठानी चाहिए इसमें थोड़ा इसको कुछ उपयोग करना चाहिए। तो रियली वेरी डाइवर्स पार्ट ऑफ कल्चर, हम लोग ने बहुत करीब से कल्चर हेरिटेज को देखा, बहुत ही टेस्टी और यमी फूड हम लोग चख रहे थे, और बेम्बू डांस ये तो पूरे देश में बहुत लोकप्रिय है। तो और बेम्बी शूट्स के बारे में जो आपके साथ जानकारी मिली, रियली मतलब बहुत ही एक सिस्टमेटिक जानकारी, बहुत ही एक मतलब उस राज्य के करीब आप हम लोगों को ले गए। वैसे ही अरुणाचल प्रदेश में हम देख रहे थे कि उसका जो हाईली डाइवर्स बायोलॉजिकली और सोशियो कल्चरली जो उसकी नेचुरल उसके जो रिसोर्स हैं, जो उसके फॉरेस्ट हैं, रिवर्स हैं इतनी खूबसूरत सी, आपने बताया कि 10 मेजर रिवर्स हैं, 50 डिफरेंट लैंग्वेजेस हैं। इस समय हम न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पे, भाषाओं पे भी बात कर रहे हैं, उसके परिप्रेक्ष्य में भी इस पे एक बड़ा काम हो सकता है। और जो ट्राइबल डाइवर्सिटी, ये विश्वविद्यालय ट्राइबल आदिवासियों के लिए, उनकी जनजातीय परंपराओं, इन सब के लिए बहुत सारा काम करता है। और जो आपने माधुरी लेक, वाह वाह क्या नाम बताया, जब आप यहाँ पे आएंगे, आप लोगों को इधर बुलाएंगे और मध्य प्रदेश की यात्रा कराएंगे, तो आप जब भेड़ा घाट धुआंधार के जबलपुर में को देखेंगे तो आपको भी लगेगा कई फिल्मों की वहाँ शूटिंग हुई है, बसंती पवन पागल, तो वो उन्हीं नामों से बड़े ख्यात हो जाते हैं। बहुत खूबसूरत रूप भी, आपने जो एक ग्रीन स्नेक्स हमको दिखाया, खूबसूरत चिड़ियों से मुलाकात कराई, मिथुन और टाइगर, ब्यूटीफुल टाइगर रिजर्व से जो हम लोगों ने देखा, रियली बहुत ही एक सिस्टमेटिक, और चूंकि आप उसी विभाग में भी काम करते हैं और उसी विभाग के प्रशासनिक प्रमुख भी हैं, और आपका इतना एकेडमिकली हाई इनपुट हम लोगों को मिला है कि रियली मैं तो बहुत मन से खुश हूँ। और आपसे अनुरोध करती हूँ और डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा जी से भी अनुरोध करती हूँ कि हमारे जितने भी विद्वान साथी रहे हैं, इंक्लूडिंग आप, जो आपने प्रेजेंटेशन सबसे पहले प्रस्तावना वक्तव्य में दिया था और जो पीपीटी प्रेजेंट किया था, कृपया प्लीज हमको अपनी रिपोर्ट के लिए और हमें और आप सबको अपने दिल में बिठाने के लिए प्रेजेंटेशन जरूर भेज दीजिएगा। ये हम लोग इसको पूरे, क्योंकि ये पूरा कार्यक्रम माननीय प्रधानमंत्री की मनोभाव और उनके आह्वान और यूजीसी के एडवाइजरी नोट के उपरांत हमारे विश्वविद्यालय ने किया, और हमारी इच्छा थी कि हम अपने खूबसूरत उन तमाम राज्यों से अपने शिक्षकों, विद्यार्थियों और अपने प्रदेश के लोगों की मुलाकात करवाएं। और आपको पता है कि हमारी माननीय पर्यटन और संस्कृति मंत्री भी इससे जुड़ी थी, और उन्होंने कहा था कि विद्यार्थियों का एक दल भ्रमण हेतु भेजेंगे। तो उन्होंने हम लोग का नाम नहीं लिया था, इसलिए मैंने डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा जी से सिफारिश लगाई है कि वो हम लोगों को भी जोड़ के चलें, हम लोग भी चलेंगे इसमें। तो रियली अजय सक्सेना जी, थैंक यू सो मच। और आप हैं तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, लेकिन आप में सारे अकादमिक चीजें बहुत ज्यादा हैं। यू आर ए वंडरफुल टीचर, और बहुत ही अच्छे से आपने किया, तो बहुत शुक्रिया। और मैं यहाँ पे दोबारा, चूंकि इस कार्यक्रम का समापन हो रहा है, मैं कहूंगी कि अगर डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा जी का इतना संयोजन और समन्वय खूबसूरत नहीं होता तो इतने विद्वान लोग हमसे नहीं जुड़ते, और इतने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के जहाँ पे माननीय राज्यपाल महोदया ने जिसकी शुरुआत की थी, इतने विद्वान पूरे हर प्रांत से हमारी बहुत गहरी मुलाकात नहीं होती, लेकिन इतनी जिज्ञासा के बाद फिर लगता है कि अभी बहुत कुछ जानना शेष है, जो वहां देख पहुंच के ही जाना जा सकता है। तो आप कृपया हमारा आभार स्वीकार करें, और माननीय राज्यपाल महोदय को भी कहिए कि कार्यक्रम बहुत खूबसूरती से सफल हुआ है, और हम लोग जरूर कुछ ना कुछ ऐसी अकादमिक रिसर्च बेस्ड योजनाएं बनाएंगे जो हम मिलके इस पे काम कर सकें। तो मेरा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद स्वीकार करें। एक और मैं, चूंकि एक कार्यक्रम समाप्त हो रहा है, वो कल संडे के बाद 31 तारीख से हम लोग न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पे काम शुरू कर रहे हैं, तो और टंटिया व्हील चेयर का भी उद्घाटन हम करने जा रहे हैं। तो हमारे अपने प्रतिभागियों और सहयोगियों से अनुरोध है कि 31 तारीख को इसी समय जरूर जुड़ें और इसमें आगे काम को आगे बढ़ाएं। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू मैम।
थैंक यू अजय जी, थैंक यू प्रोफेसर शुक्ला। मैं तो आपसे खुद ही कहने वाली थी कि जब आप अपना विद्यार्थियों का दल करें तो मुझे भी साथ में चले। थैंक यू, हैप्पी वीकेंड।
थैंक यू। मनोज, खत्म करो।
सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जैसे कि इस प्रकार का पूरा ये हमारा कार्यक्रम रहा है, इसमें जितने भी रिसोर्स पर्सन आए हैं, जिन्होंने अलग अलग राज्यों के बारे में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी दी, मैं उन सबका विश्वविद्यालय परिवार की तरफ से बहुत ही हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, धन्यवाद देता हूँ। और इसकी जो शुरुआत हुई थी इनॉग्रल सेशन में, जैसे कि मैम ने कहा, ऑनरेबल गवर्नर मैम और हमारे यहाँ की पर्यटन मंत्री ऑनरेबल सुश्री उत्तर ठाकुर मैम ने इनॉग्रल किया था। और निश्चित तौर पर ये जो कार्यक्रम हुआ है, ये बहुत सारे महत्वपूर्ण बिंदुओं को हम रिपोर्ट में शामिल करेंगे, और हमारे जो रिसोर्स पर्सन है उनके भी बहुत सारे सुझाव और उनके लेख आएंगे, उसको भी हम शामिल करेंगे। तो आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। हमारी ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर मैम जी के निर्देशन में लगातार हम लोग इस कठिन परिस्थिति में अकादमिक गतिविधियां आयोजित कर पा रहे हैं। मैं मैम का बहुत बहुत आभार प्रकट करता हूँ, धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि उनके मार्गदर्शन में हम लोग लगातार कुछ अच्छा कर पा रहे हैं इस चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में। इस पूरे कार्यक्रम के संयोजन के लिए और जो हमारे नॉर्थ ईस्ट को लेकर हम बहुत कम जानते थे, उसमें बहुत ज्ञान में बहुत सारी वृद्धि हुई। उसके लिए डॉक्टर नीरू मिश्रा मैम का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और हमारे विद्यालय के प्रोफेसर डी के वर्मा जी, प्रोफेसर किशोर राम सर, डॉक्टर मनीषा सक्सेना मैम, जिन लोगों का लगातार मार्गदर्शन और निर्देशन हम लोगों को मिलता रहा है, जिससे हम लोग ये कार्यक्रम एक सफलतापूर्वक कर पाए हैं। और हमारी टीम में डॉक्टर विशाल पुरोहित, डॉक्टर भरत भाटी, डॉक्टर रश्मि जैन, इन लोगों का सहयोग रहा है। और साथ ही हमारे विश्वविद्यालय परिवार के हर व्यक्ति, अधिकारी, कर्मचारी और जितने भी विद्यार्थी हैं लगातार इससे जुड़े हुए हैं। हमारे साथ देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों से सारे लोग जुड़ रहे हैं। लगातार हम पिछले कई महीनों से हमारे यहाँ इस तरह से अकादमिक कार्यक्रम हो रहे हैं, सभी लोग जुड़े हैं। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप लोगों की रुचि बन पा रही है। जो हम लोग ये आयोजन करना चाहते हैं अकादमिक गतिविधियों का, उसमें लगातार आपकी रुचि बनी है। ये भी हम लोगों की हौसला अफजाई करता है कि और भी हम लोग कार्यक्रम करें, जिससे हम वर्चुअल दुनिया के साथ आप लोगों को जोड़ पाए और इस परिस्थिति में आप लोगों का अकादमिक एंगेजमेंट हो पाए। तो आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं पुनः सभी का धन्यवाद देते हुए कार्यक्रम को आज समाप्त करने के लिए आग्रह करता हूँ। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।